Good morning. This is walking my path, starting from the garden. We just watered a bit. It's about 9:30, July 21st, 2024. And so we're here at the Hugh Cargill Gardens. They're really looking beautiful today. And it was known as the poor man's garden back in the day. I don't know, maybe it still is, right? I have a garden here. But here are some beautiful flowers. But we're going to continue our path today on the Emerson-Thoreau Amble. You can see this field over in the brush here, some wild sage. I think that's what it's called. Please let me know if I'm wrong. And there's a creek that flows by over there. We saw last time we walked over a bridge that goes over that creek. Part of, did look it up, it's part of Mill Dam Creek. And let's look at a little more of the garden before we get started on our walk. Great place to just come and walk around. Okay, the bridges were built by the local Boy Scouts. We'll continue our path. And we're going to start off here. We're starting right where we ended. The garden and the Concord Ice Company. I did look it up. We'll show you the buildings as we get down here. And so this is private property to the left and right, so we have to be respectful of that. You can see we got some corn growing. Some vine. It's taking over a lot of the hedge here. So this ice company used to be called the Mason Ice Company, and it started in 1906. And they would cut ice from local ponds, and they would keep it stored in a warehouse. They'd put sawdust over it, and they would make it through most of the summer. And they would deliver this ice to the so I think this is the warehouse. This is where the ice was kept, and they would deliver that ice, to the local population. Anybody that had an ice box, I guess, had a need for ice, they would deliver it. We can't go on the property, and so I think this part of the shed was added later. And but if you look around back, at one point they did have some stables there, and they would keep carts, and you would take your horse into town, and so whoever was the employee that did that would also take care of the horses. And so they would generally come over here, just walk in from town, and take care of the horses. They did away with the horses in 1933, and they started using trucks. And they continued doing ice up until the 1980s. This is privately owned, if I'm not mistaken now, and I'm not sure who the owner is. I did look at historical documents, but didn't narrow down that information of who that would be. Then you walk back through this cart path to get to continue our trail. It looks like it's almost a road. You can tell there's actually been some vehicles on it. And there's little side trails cut out. I think those are more for residents that have the private property to the right, and for their access to the trail. And here we go is our Emerson-Thoreau Amble. More Queen Anne's lace, and I forget what this is called now. They say this is good if you're bleeding, can stop bleeding. I forget what it's called. Sorry about that. And, if you do come and walk these trails, there are a lot of ticks, so you do want to, after the walk, do a check and make sure you don't have any ticks. And we're walking through tall grass, or not tall grass, but some grass, and that's what made me think of it. Here's more of our wild sage that's growing everywhere here. It's really cool, it's really beautiful. It kind of brightens up the landscape. Middle of, we just had a buck moon over this weekend, and it's a full moon. My understanding is that's when the bucks get their horns or their nubbins start to poke out, and they also eat my gardens. Here we go, we're following the trail. And this is wetland, and looks like they've got a project here. They've had this going for a while. I assume to help with the insect population, giving them a place to, but I don't know for sure. But we do have the boardwalks, as these do get pretty muddy from time to time. We've had been a reasonable year this year actually, so it's not been terribly wet. And so we come to the next bridge here, and this is they call it the Hugh Cargill ditch. And what happened was the garden up there used to be farmland, and it used to flood. And I guess the farmland that we just saw, the corn, and so they dug all this out to get some drainage away from that. That was done in like the 1800s to allow the. And as you can see, it's pretty wet. It's swampland. You know, it's not what you'd think though. When some people think of swampland, you might think it's stinky, but it's not. It smells great out here. It's beautiful. You can hear some frogs every now and then or something. Now you can see it's starting to get a little rougher, roots and mud, and so gotta be careful. A little more thickly wooded right through here. Pardon me there, got bit by a fly. It's really peaceful out here. It's really humid as well. Not too high. It's like in the 80s. It's about 85 today, I think. It will get hot as the day goes on. We're not so far removed from the city that I can't hear the cars and planes. There is an airport, a small airport nearby. Lots of folks walk their dogs back here. And we flatten out here, a little more timber. I think they actually may have grew timber here at one point for just timber production. But it's now a park. It's a park. And somebody's built a really cool structure. Somebody had some fun in the woods. A lot of times there's structures back here. I think kids play back here quite a bit. It's been that way for a long time. The Emerson-Thoreau would bring the Alcott girls back here. We'll talk more about that a little later. And they enjoyed the land here. So some ferns. It's really buggy, so I'm moving quickly to keep the bugs off of me. Some pine cones there. Let's take a look up. It's cool. got some birds. Just saw a blue jay. Pardon me. Had to blow off a flies. I'm filling in a pit here. There are pine needles just covering the ground here. It's really soft. Okay, I ran out of storage. Had to take a moment to make a little more. We are walking towards Fairyland Pond still, and Fairyland Pond used to be a swamp. It was they put a little dam in so we could have a pond, and so that was done in the 1800s. So when Thoreau was here, there was actually a swamp. He refers to it in his writings as Herbert's Close or Hubbard's Shady Swamp. It was named for its owner, Ebenezer Hubbard. And the swamp was part of the Walden Pond area. Walden Pond's still a ways away, but this is where he brought the Alcott girls and Emerson and children on berry picking trips, and they called it Fairyland. And I think the townspeople maybe came up with that name. And it's beautiful. The kids still from the local high school will come over here and in the winter, and take relaxing walks, and they run back here as part of their cross-country training. And in the wintertime it freezes over and people ice skate on it. And it was given, well, sort of given to town, the Hapgood, I think Hapgood-Wright, there's a plaque over here. Hapgood-Wright gave the town like $1,000 back in the 1800s, and for town improvement. And then they eventually used that to buy this land, and it became a public park, public area ever since. And so it's long been this public area. Louisa May Alcott has some writings about it, and I got a book here if I can get it out. And it's Flower Fables by Louisa May Alcott. And if we read just the beginning of it, the introduction, it says, Fairyland was familiar territory to young Louisa May Alcott and her sisters, for they often romped here and explored its secrets under the guidance of family friend Henry David Thoreau, 15 years her elder. Thoreau led the Alcott girls and their friends on berry picking expeditions in the wooded land around Walden, and which he fancifully called Fairyland. It was on this piece of land owned by neighbor Ralph Waldo Emerson that the girls' father, Amos Bronson Alcott, helped Thoreau build the now famous cabin where he lived and wrote Walden. And so this book is basically the stories that the Alcott girls told each other. And this is you can see the little dam here, stream, and about all of our walk. We're going to walk around the back side of this and on out. And the next trip will be Brister's Hill. We'll learn about an ex-slave that lived back here with Thoreau. This is one of my favorite places, and I know the locally here, people that grew up here really like it. The pond, and my daughters have played back here, and they have art shows back here. They put up little art events, or large art events, and it's a safe place for the kids to run and play. And I know when I was a kid, I played in the woods a great deal. Kids still can do that here. This looks like a natural erosion, and it somewhat is, but it's also part of one of the ways to get to Brister's Hill. Walking around the far side of the pond here. You can see it from this side. Granted, we're only a mile or two outside of Concord, and about the same distance from Walden Pond. So Emerson didn't own this land. He owned land further out that Thoreau built on. That's my understanding of it. I could be wrong though. Feel free to, in the comments, to let me know if you know different. Feels better over here. It's well-maintained trail, so like I said, there is that one rough part at the beginning, but if somebody wanted to, but most folks can walk back here, and if you can't, that's what these videos are for folks to get to see these trails that may not be able to otherwise. Here we got our cattails, looking more like a swamp on this side. And the trail goes on that way as well. And eventually we have to cross Route 2 to make it to Walden Pond. And of course, in Thoreau's day, Route 2 wasn't there. But so we have to do that. And I guess it's part of the modern convenience dealing with highways and such. So this is the Hapgood-Wright Forest. Hapgood. It's a good name, huh? Hapgood. This is a circle we could have that way. Now we're coming to the end. And I gotta go and finish up in my garden as well. Parking area here and some drain off. They are currently working on the road, so there's some construction up this way. I'm gonna turn the corner here because there is a little structure around the corner up this way I'd like to show you. Or the foundation. So there used to be some kind of structure here. And that's all for today in our walking my path. Subscribe if you don't mind to the channel, and thank you for taking this walk with me today.